are back. That's what's up. Is It Time Football is back for episode 2.
Hmm.
And today we chose a pretty relevant topic. And I think we have a little old guest here that is going to help us to introduce what the topic is. You ready, Gabe?
Yep.
All right, all
Go
right, all
for it.
right. All right, let's see, let's see. God, that thing is so hard to play, bro. Oh my God. But anyways, take back to the 2010 World Cup, South
Yeah.
Africa. I think everybody knows what the topic is, and that's AFCON 2023.
Yeah.
Well, this episode, we've decided to do a little bit of a recap of all the semifinalists
Mhm.
of the AFCON and possibly a prediction.
Yeah.
So, on Is It Time Football, we ask this question: Is it time to predict the winner of the AFCON 2023?
Mhm. In what has been probably the most unpredictable tournament I've seen in ages.
Oh my guy, it has been a surprising tournament to say the least.
Yeah.
And that is why we love AFCON, man.
Yeah.
There's always surprises, there's always shocks, there's always vibes. I mean, there's also been a lot of bottle jobs this year,
Yep.
and it's just pure entertainment, man. Like, it is so much fun to watch. I absolutely love the AFCON. I remember watching my first AFCON was the 2015 one when Ivory Coast won on the penalty shootout. That one, you remember that one? Oh,
Banger.
that
Banger.
was amazing. So yeah, this is the question we're asking: Is it time to predict the winner of the AFCON?
Mhm.
So there's 4 teams left. The first matchup is Nigeria and South Africa.
Yep.
What do you have to say about Nigeria? I know you're pretty opinionated about these guys.
Well, so my thing always with Nigeria is my view, and it's a very hot take, but I think before this tournament it was justified. During this tournament, they've actually impressed me, I have to say. But my take always about Nigeria was the most underwhelming team
Oh
in
yeah.
football, international football, given the expectations, given the wealth of players at their disposal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I point to especially because there was World Cup qualifier window in October, November, that they had
Mhm.
2 ties to the great likes of Lesotho and I think it was Zimbabwe, the other one, if I remember.
Yeah, those are the 2 teams I had down here. I mean, they missed out. They missed out on the World Cup, and
Yeah.
and the ties against Lesotho and Zimbabwe were not giving much courage,
They,
I
they,
think,
I was,
to the fans of the Super Eagles.
no, it was not.
Um,
I think also my thing was with those games, and this is what's surprising this AFCON tournament as we preview now Nigeria. My view was that, especially those games indicate to me that defensively they were very poor. But this AFCON, their best attribute has been their defense.
oh, absolutely.
Right.
Ola Aina's been having a really good AFCON.
Really
I
good.
mean, he's pulling the strings on the right side there, isn't he?
Oh, 100%.
But they have turned what they're known as their weakness into right now what their strength is.
Definitely.
I mean, Adamoto Lookman and Osimhen are definitely providing quite a bit.
Definitely. 100%.
We are seeing some form of consistency and dominance from this team that has the potential for it.
For sure.
But I have been very impressed with their defense so far. I have to say, I agree.
Hmm.
I mean, they started out with a 1-1 against Equatorial Guinea, which is not a terrible start, but it's not great.
Right.
And they beat Ivory Coast and they beat Guinea-Bissau. So, they had a tough group to get into it, and getting out of it with 7 points is quite impressive.
Right.
And then they had a 2-0 dominance against Cameroon, which is,
Right.
again, impressive. Cameroon's been in a bit of a shambles this AFCON, but,
Yeah. But still,
that's
still top side. Still top side.
still a top side. They reached the final last time out. However, I thought their 1-0 win against Angola have overperformed
So much.
this tournament.
So much. I've been so impressed by Angola.
Beautiful to watch. Very impressive. But they weren't. Nigeria wasn't so comfortable against them, which has given me a bit of a question mark ahead of their semifinal. But
I'm
yeah,
gonna give a bit of a shock opinion. Actually, I disagree with you about the Angola game. Yes, they were uncomfortable, so I'm gonna agree with you on that. The performance is underwhelming. I'm not saying it wasn't. They weren't like the most confident. But I think the fact that they actually still won that game, because again, Nigeria, for me, actually the bigger test, not in terms of the opposition, of course, Cameroon is more difficult than Angola. But given the track record recently of Nigeria in like messing up against the beatable teams, I literally actually predicted Angola would win because I thought they would mess up again. So even though Nigeria weren't the most confident and comfortable in the performance against Angola, I think the fact they actually won that, actually got the win, I actually give them kudos to, because so many times, yes, it wasn't the most convincing win, yes, but they actually won it. And many other times in the months beforehand, they would have tied that game or lost, given it was a knockout game. So
yeah, I mean, they have only conceded 1 goal this whole AFCON.
it's incredible.
That says a lot.
Here's
And
the
I always believe that defense wins you championships. Offense is going to win you a lot of games here and there, but defense wins you championships. And right now, they are the best defensive team in the tournament, for sure. So I don't think there's much more to say in that Nigeria, despite their lead up to the tournament being very disappointing, very underwhelming, they have had very bad performances, and they created a reputation of that even.
Yeah, exactly.
With you and with me as well. I'm with you on that one. You know, I have to respect how their tournament has gone. Even though I felt the Angola, they got out of it because it was a pure mismatch, if I'm being honest. But, you know, they have a decent chance against the team that we're going to go into about now, and that's South Africa.
Yep. How do you describe South Africa? I know you had a great description. I want to hear this.
I wrote down least expected to be here.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I don't mean any disrespect, but it was not looking good going into this tournament for South Africa. They have somehow managed, despite the poor lead up, like having draws in friendlies with Swaziland or Namibia, a 2-0 loss to Rwanda in the World Cup qualifications.
Yep.
They have somehow found a way to make it to the semis. Somehow. And
I know.
That's just my opinion. I love everything about South Africa in terms of football. They have given me many great memories as a fan. But this tournament, I really don't understand how they've gotten this far.
I think it's interesting though, because in many like major tournaments, we see teams who have an underwhelming group stage, but they actually fly off in the knockouts. We'll talk about them later on. Ivory Coast, that's a good example of one, I think. But I think my view of South Africa, look, they definitely surprised me this tournament. I think especially like, you know, the way they were performing in the group, not about the results, but the way they're performing. You know, you would have assumed going against Morocco in the round of 16, they would have lost that game.
For sure,
and I thought what was interesting about Morocco game with South Africa, I was very surprised at how structured they were, because they didn't demonstrate that in stages to me. So I was very surprised at how structured they were. That being said, I do always wonder, had Hakimi not missed the penalty for Morocco?
I mean, that game was chaotic, to say the least. And I mean, Morocco were, before the tournament, my favorite to win the whole thing. They have such a good squad, and you can't help but think that the chaotic atmosphere played to South Africa in that game. I mean, there was a red card, there was a last-minute penalty, not last minute, but late penalty that was missed by Hakimi. And I have to say, I was impressed that they managed to hold on to the win there, and they managed to keep level and stay in the moment. I was impressed with that, I have to say. But if you look at the group stage, they lost to Mali in the opening game. Mali has been very good this tournament. They've been very good this tournament. They demolished Namibia in the next game. Temba Zwane, the striker of the in South Africa, he had an absolute field day on that day, scored 2 goals. And they've had a couple good performances this tournament. Ronwin Williams, their keeper, has been very, very good. He had 4 saves in the game against Cape Verde.
Yeah, that penalty.
So,
He did fantastic.
unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was watching. 4 saves. That's unheard of. In a penalty shootout, especially with only 5 penalties.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it looks like a pretty up and down record in terms of the AFCON.
Yeah.
So they have somehow managed to get some results here and there. And they've beaten some big teams.
Definitely.
But my question is, do they have what it takes to get past Nigeria?
What I will say is I do also want to put this point where it's that another player I want to highlight, because I think you do want to highlight Williams, of course. I'm gonna also highlight Mokoena, your CDM. I think that besides his shooting ability, which was demonstrated against Morocco with that crazy free kick, I thought that was a fantastic free kick.
Yes.
He's a really good outlet pass. He's a good like midfielder that helps like to create those outlet passes to the wingers, I think. And so that's, you see South Africa, the way they played, I thought, against Morocco, especially, was like on that counter thing, and so I think that could use to their advantage, if Nigeria is like falling asleep. Realistically, it's going to be very difficult, though, because Nigeria are very structured defensively. To be fair, I said the same thing again about Morocco, but then they actually ended up, beating Morocco. So I was very impressed by that. I think another thing I want to highlight with South Africa, it just seems like they're very... Just like a very, I think leveled was a good description of how you said it, the way they saw that Morocco game. And the same with the Cape Verde game. I thought they were very just, they tried to maintain calm. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, they have a very calming aura around them, which I am impressed by. So there is potential for them to do something, but I just don't think they have what it takes against Nigeria, mate, if I'm being honest.
I would like to say one more thing. Their manager, Hugo Bruce, he's actually quality. I was looking to his CV more, but I think the way he structured them, he's actually a manager that in this tournament has really maximized the players. He's getting them playing better than you would expect, right? They've overperformed in these last 2 games. I think if you actually look at CV, I want to double check I'm getting this right, but I believe he was managing Uganda before this. I'll double check this right now. I want to double check just to make sure. No, he was not. But what I was going to say is that that's impressive. I know someone. I'm going to double check the manager. I know there was someone that was managing Uganda before. What I didn't want to say about about Hugo Bruce is that he got them really structured. He's been doing a long-term project with South Africa. I know, and so it's been a very impressive project. So nothing but respect to give to them.
No, nothing but respect. I did not expect them to be here, but I respect a lot their whole journey. Yes. And so I say it with the utmost respect that I think Nigeria is just too good for them.
That's right.
And so my prediction going into the final is Nigeria, from this semifinal at least.
I will also say Nigeria. I think it's going to be a 1-0 though, because I think it'll be something like a 1-0. Yeah. I was going to say that the manager I was thinking of before that coached Uganda previously, and we're going to talk about this team very soon, is the DR Congo manager, actually. I knew there was one of the 2 managers that were the impressive.
Okay. So, well, I say we get right into it with that matchup, don't we?
Yeah, I love it.
Congo, I say we start with them because I love this team, man. They're my favorite. I put surprise, but I don't find it that surprising that they've gotten this far. I really don't. They have such quality players. They have Wissa, Masuaku, Bemba, Bogonda, Silas as well of Stuttgart. I mean, Wissa has been the talisman. He's the main driver. He's good to take on any defender in this AFCON. I love that player in the first place for Brentford. And just this team has so much flair, I find.
It's really impressive. It's so impressive.
No? I mean, they've had ties all over the group stage, which is, I guess, perceived as a bad thing. But the way I see it is they won't let you win, no matter what.
Exactly. And if you actually look at the games, barring, I think, in the stage when they had the game against Morocco, I think all of those times, they were more likely to win the game instead of losing it. So maybe they structured to avoid a loss, but they definitely, weren't at risk of that except for the Morocco game probably. Because I actually thought against Egypt, I literally, and people were surprised, but I literally predicted that they would beat Egypt. I really felt it because I just felt they just get the job done, DR Congo. And like it went to them.
they get the job done. They don't lose.
Exactly.
They don't lose. I mean, you could say the same thing about Nigeria, but I've gotten more of this impression from Congo that they are not here to mess about.
Right, definitely. I also want to add another player because we talk about fantastic attacking players. One I really like also is Edia, who actually plays for Young Boys. So that's Swiss.
Yeah, he plays for Young Boys, exactly.
Yeah, crazy. No, but he's also like a nice little outlet because he's not as. The reason I want to highlight him, he's not as shiny or as like top tier as like Bakambu or Wissa, or those type of players, but quality as well. So I did want to highlight him. And I did want to mention one word on the coach now that I did remember that this is the coach too. Like I felt bad about this. But Sebastian Dezablo, I want to highlight him because he's actually had a very interesting long-term project with DR Congo. So he was the Uganda coach up until 2019. He actually qualified Uganda to an AFCON in 2019. And it's very impressive. Uganda's like very small in the football stage. So that was very impressive.
It's a small football nation for sure.
Definitely. And so then now he's started DR Congo since 2022. He took over after DR Congo just failed to qualify for the World Cup because DR Congo actually played Morocco in their playoff, and they lost to Morocco to the World Cup. Sebastian Dezablo, he's actually signed on with this long-term vision to get them to 2026 World Cup. So I really love these managers where I think with many of these teams I'm seeing, I would even potentially say this for like the Ivory Coast and all the manager right now, but I think for many of the countries also in this tournament, there's not as much like a long-term vision. It was more like short-term and then keep developing. I really like DR Congo, and I think also it's reflected in their performance as very like stable progression. And I think it's really awesome. So yeah, I just want to have a coach there.
I mean, this team is fast-flowing. It's counter-attacking. Out of all the semi teams, I've most enjoyed watching them this whole tournament.
They're so fun to watch. It's just like I love watching against Guinea.
That Guinea game was unbelievable.
Amazing.
I mean, Masuaku somehow does it again from a crazy angle.
Oh yeah, like that. Yeah, when he did it with West Ham.
Yeah, when he did it with West Ham, yes, he did. I saw that goal and I got flashbacks, pure flashbacks. I think it was against City as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
City or Chelsea. Yeah. It was somewhat. I'm pretty sure it was City.
Fair enough.
But I just see a Prem keeper, whether it was at the time Courtois or Ederson, just absolutely scrambling to deal with a very similar looking shot from that. And it's just very. It was really, really fun to watch that game, man. Really enjoyed that game. So they're my personal favorite to go on and win the whole thing. But the team they're matched up against has been through a lot.
Yeah.
Ivory Coast at home.
Crazy.
Before the tournament, many would have said the favorites.
Well, at least to make a deep run. For sure.
At least to make a deep run, but many would have said potential favorites. And it's starting to look that way, even after the start that they had in the group stage.
It's crazy. It's.
I mean, the group stage was underwhelming, so underwhelming. They have an incredible squad.
Yeah.
Fofana, Adingra, Kessie, Seb Howler, Bamba, Boga, you name them. They're all big players. Yeah. And they had a fantastic lead up. They had a great start against Guinea-Bissau. But then, they lost to Nigeria, which is okay. It can happen.
Right.
But losing 4-0 to Equatorial Guinea is a shocker, to say the least. I mean, they're lucky to have advanced out of the group stage.
Oh, they literally were the fourth, placed third best. They were the fourth place of the third place teams. Yeah,
Yeah, so they're just scraped by.
the fourth best out of third place teams. Just
Oh my! I mean,
I
yeah.
what I want to say about them, I think. Well, it's what I was mentioning before, also with like kind of South Africa, the Ivory Coast and the definition of this team. Horrible group stage, but fantastic knockouts, and that's what the important thing about tournament football. It's when I say this. It's like I bring this up. I texted you about this, but it's true. It's the same thing I remember with Portugal Euro 2016. Horrible group
Yes.
times in a row.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
But it works because this is the thing. This is not like a league campaign. This is not sustainable football. And like they were going for like a league title or something like this. Absolutely not. But for cup competitions like a tournament football, it works. Now, have they gotten fortunate a bit? Yes, but it works. I think also I will say on that note, and you know how much I was raging about this, how Mali bottled it against Ivory Coast.
Oh, that quarterfinal was tough to watch, man.
Because
I mean, Mali had a great tournament. Let's not take it away.
Let's not take it away. Great tournament. But I was very disappointed how they bottled at the end because, look, it wasn't because I was like for Mali instead of Ivory Coast. I think it was just for me the fact that Ivory Coast were down to 10 men. And not once, but twice, Mali gave up last-minute goals. One in normal time and one in the extra time period to subject them to this loss, which it was just like frustrating to witness.
I mean, it was looking so good for them, wasn't it?
Right.
Like Nene Douglas sits down Kessié, scores an absolute banger. Everything's looking great up until the 85th or 86th minute.
Yeah.
And then Digra comes on and somehow finds the net. And the winner for me is an absolute scuff goal. It doesn't get scuffier than that. Deflected shot into the back. Oh my god. Crazy. Creds to the back heel, but still.
Yeah, it was smart of a play by them.
Sorry, I interrupted you before. I just had to get in. I had to get in with that.
I'm glad.
What were you gonna say?
No, look, I completely agree, and I think, but I think that game also at the same time demonstrated Ivory Coast. They're not playing the most convincing football, but they're getting the job done, and they're getting it done purely through grit. I think one of their big talents, players, is Fofana. He's such a big, like the way
he's a presence, man.
Such a presence, controls that midfield, has a great shot and has great passing, just determination and grit. And I think that's what I find really impressive. I will also say in this matchup, this doesn't give away my prediction because it doesn't give any indication about this. But I think in the midfield battle, Ivory Coast is going to dominate the midfield. You have Kessié, Fofana, and Jean-Michel Seri. It's a really good midfield three.
Yes.
And so I think that doesn't mean per se whether they'll win or not. We'll get into that prediction in a bit. But I think midfield-wise, they're going to be holding off the ball. And they're really going to be controlling it. They're going to be just like going in for it. And so, credit to where it's due for them getting to the stage, as the hosts. And they,
it would be great to see them win at home. But I really don't think the Elephants have what it takes against Congo. I really don't.
So you're going with Congo? Is that your prediction? DR Congo?
Bro, in this matchup, I'm going Congo all the way. All the way.
What's your
I'm telling you.
Score prediction? I'm curious.
I think it's going to be a tight game. It's going to play on the counterattacks, I think. The midfield, like you said, I absolutely 100% agree. The midfield is going to be absolutely run over by Ivory Coast. At least in terms of what they've shown so far. But I do think the fast flow on the wings of Congo is gonna get the best of Ivory Coast, because in that Mali game, Mali had a lot of chances coming out of the wings and they missed a lot of chances. So I see Congo taking advantage of it. I really do.
Do you think they'll win like normal time, extra time? What is you thinking?
I can never predict normal extra. But I think it will stay to regular time. If I'm being honest.
1-0 then? Like 1-0.
I think they'll win like 2-1 or 1-0 within regular time, probably. Yeah.
All right. This is tough for me to call because this is my issue with it. Ivory Coast, they're not confident or comfortable in games, but they still just get the job done. DR Congo play free-flowing football. they're definitely going to score against this Ivory Coast team. They're just not defensively sound, this Ivory Coast team. I think defensively is the weakest, to be honest. This is my prediction. I'm going with DR Congo. I do think they have the takes, DR Congo. But but this is my prediction how the game's going to go. DR Congo will be leading in like the 60th minute. Ivory Coast will get a late equalizer because they always manage to do it. It goes all the way to penalties though, and I think DR Congo will win it in penalties. That's my prediction. So they'll still win it, DR Congo. Even though it'll be one of those ones where they actually should have won the game in the first 90 minutes because they've been playing well. But Ivory Coast just through grit equalizes. But I still will go with DR Congo on penalties, but I do think they will go through the game.
Well, after discussing all the 4 teams, we discussed both of the matchups. And we both believe that Nigeria is going to go through, and we both believe that Congo is going to go through no matter how they do it.
Yeah, true.
And so both of our final prediction is going to be Nigeria against Congo, which is such a good final, I find.
That'd be so fun. I can't watch that.
Who comes out on top though? Is it time to decide that? Do we still have to wait one more game? Or can we already say that?
I think we can. I think we are both confident enough in who we believe will win this whole thing. So I think we.
I believe Congo is winning the whole thing.
You're going with Congo.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you, I'm going with Congo.
What is it? So let's. That matchup will be very, very interesting.
Yes.
Wow. That's gonna be. Oh god.
Yes. Yeah. Very interesting.
I'm gonna go. I'm actually gonna go with this. So serious. Despite me hating on them before the tournament, I'm so impressed. I just feel like just morally, they're gonna somehow, after how much I've been talking about them, considering how much trash I've been talking about them before the tournament, they're gonna pull now. I'm serious. So I'm gonna actually go. The reason I look at that matchup, this is the issue I have. Is Nigeria has very good defense.
Yeah, they do. I'm not laughing because I don't agree with you. I'm laughing because it's true. You were dissing them so much before this tournament. And now you're going for them to win.
I'm gonna just because the way the path is. I will say actually one thing. If it was Nigeria versus Ivory Coast in the final, I actually think Ivory Coast would win that. But
I agree. I
think, but I will actually go for Nigeria in this purely because DR Congo is very like free-flowing, counter-attacking, very structured. But Nigeria, as long as the only if is if whether they'll score, because they've not been the most prolific. They haven't scored the most. However, I've been so impressed by them defensively, competently. You said Ola Aina on that right back, fantastic. Truce to Kong in that middle with Bassi. Like it's really impressive, that defense. That was my one thing of why I was dissing them so much before the tournament. But they have proved me wrong.
Yeah, they have.
They really have, and I think in this match against DR Congo, they dominate the midfield because it's a midfield like every will be in there. And even though it's not the most natural midfield, it's better than DR Congo's like center mids. Yeah. I'm gonna go Nigeria. I'm gonna say Nigeria like win the final like a 2-1, like a very interesting game. But I'm gonna go Nigeria. I'm gonna go Nigeria to win it. Actually,
it's sad to see your turnaround game. It's sad to see. I was hoping you'd side with me on this one. But
the problem is, I think just by fate, after how much I've been dissing them, it would be very apt and accurate for them to win now.
That is true. I mean, I see them being very up there. All these teams have a chance.
Yeah.
But I think all we can do is wait and see if our predictions are true.
Exactly.
There's still the semis in the way, and then there's the final next week. You know, I just can't wait to see what happens, man. I really can't.
And watch
this is gonna be. Huh?
I was just gonna say watch South Africa now.
Oh, watch them win the whole thing. We've not given them a single like percentage of
No, we don't.
hope here, both of us. But you never know. They've done well, so maybe they can put off a result. Who knows? They could get to the final. I don't see them winning the whole thing, but they could get to the final somehow.
Possible. So.
But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait. And talking about waiting, after the AFCON, one of our future episodes is going to be again about AFCON, but about a different topic. And I think our viewers will see that in a couple of weeks' time, but we just like to give a little sneak peek into potential ideas. We've seen a lot of good players, young players come through, seen a lot of shocks, seen a lot of drama behind the scenes as well with some of the teams. And so those are the potential topics that we'll get into in a couple weeks' time, maybe an episode in between this one and the next AFCON episode. But we love the AFCON and we are willing to talk about it.
We love this tournament so much.
So as we end off the episode for today, we would like to say thank you again for watching, and we hope to see you again. Gabe, anything to add?
I'm so excited to talk about this again. I'm so excited to watch Nigeria. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens. Dude, I've been missing them so much. Look, we'll see. I'm just excited. This has been a great episode. I love this.
Well, if you also think Nigeria is gonna win, click the like button. Comment if you think otherwise, and subscribe if you want to see more stuff from us. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.